in this emergency dump episode. Guys, Bitcoin's volatility recently hit its lowest level since going back to 2016. We'll show you exactly what that area correlates to because all of this does match up, and especially with this Fibonacci retracement, guys, we're on the brink of something huge. But even more important and more dire is exactly what is going on in the stock market today, guys. This is absolutely massive, and the ramifications for Bitcoin are huge. As we talked about early last week, holding that 50 moving average could initiate some short-term bullish momentum. But as we discussed on Friday, guys, it absolutely shattered through that. So what does that mean now for the global economy and cryptocurrency specifically? Because this definitely will have an impact. And Ethereum at a huge critical level. We're going to show you what targets we're eyeing up. But guys, most importantly, what exactly is happening in this market? I think a lot of people are kind of confused right now. But we're going to zoom out and show you the bigger picture, and as well, obviously, there is some dumpage going on today, so we're going to show you what exactly we think is coming next. Welcome back, you sporty savages. We have a lot to be delving into Bitcoin's price, guys, because this is an absolute defining week. We opened this week bearish, as Friday closed kind of bearish as well. And there's so much to be taking in and so much to be reviewing, especially with these altcoins, guys. Altcoins are pretty much getting dumped on. So much dumpage in the market. There is a real mess, but we're going to be covering that in today's webisode. And guys, specifically, we're going to be looking at some volatility levels because this is also pretty important. We've seen a very, very big reduction in volatility recently. Actually, just very recently hitting some all-time lows going back for the last 4 years, but we're going to show you what we think that means. We're going to show you what lines up on this very key time frame, and more importantly, we're going to be talking about this correlation that you guys need to be talking about, right? Need to be paying attention to. We've been covering it for a few weeks now, but things have actually turned kind of bearish, so we're going to be diving into that. Will that bearishness be translating into Bitcoin? Well, without any further squirting, guys, make sure if you're new to the channel, subscribe to turn on post notifications so you get updated when we upload new videos. And as well, if you want to enter for these Ledger giveaways, make sure you're subscribed and leave a comment below. And make sure it includes what your game plan is for this week specifically. Guys, so huge. We can start off on these smaller timeframes actually, as we've actually come down and we're currently testing basically this breakout area of about 10,480, 10,470, which we traded in from the beginning of September all the way for basically 2 weeks until September 14th before we absolutely broke out of that up and tried to retest, you know, above 11K where we got pushed back down again. So we're basically just testing this same level that we were held down by for 2 weeks before getting a breakout. And guys, honestly, this on the smaller time frames looks kind of bearish, but let's actually zoom out. So for one, this is the most important thing I think here is on the daily chart. After holding above this 21-day moving average, we actually broke back below that now, and we've re-entered this sideways support area, which is just very critical. It's critical because if we go back, the last 365 days provided immense resistance, and now we need to see this turn and flip as support, and if not, we're going to be going much lower if this does not flip as support, okay? And for one thing, we have this zoomed out going all the way back to about May of 2019. You can see VPVR trading volume is very, very high right now where we're finding that support, but it really, really shoots up around that $9,800 level and provides immense support going all the way down to about $9,000. So there's about an $800 range here from about $9,800 to $9,000, which absolutely we need to see hold support if we're going to get a downturn. And we're going to be talking about some other very important things here and altcoins. But in the short term here, holding this is significant. We basically held this. We had a lot of daily closes as we got this initial pullback on September 2nd, right? On this daily chart, we found a lot of support right around this area and ultimately held within the $10,200 to $10,500 range. We had a lot of wicks down to about $9,700 to $9,800. But it looks as though we're coming back down into this area. Now, what's insanely key over this week, because as we're going to be talking about, we're getting a very strong dip in the S&P. Stocks are not looking good, and we're going to be talking about that in more detail. Huge, guys. So if you're interested in trying to trade these markets and you want to support the channel and you have experience trading, make sure to sign up with the links below. You get some extremely high deposit bonuses and 20% fee reduction for trading on Bybit if you use that link. But if we get a continued downturn, and if Bitcoin gets dragged along with it, in the short term, guys, we need to hold basically above 96 and 9,700. If we start setting lower lows on this, then even though I already suspect we're in a confirmed downtrend, this would 100% cement that we're in a small or a actual downtrend. So until we actually break and create lower lows on this daily chart, which would be breaking essentially below 98 and 9,700, So again, we're still about $500 or $600 away from that now. But if we would see a scenario where we come down and set lower lows on this daily chart, then guys, prepare. We could actually see some more downside. But one good thing about that is we'll see a mass return to volatility. Now, with that being said, the Bitcoin Volatility Index, I have this set going back about 4 years, and you can see the last time that we were at these levels of about 1% of volatility for Bitcoin was all the way back in October of 2016. So about 4 years ago, almost exactly, right? We came down pretty close back in March of 2019. We came down to about 1.4%. But the last time we came down this low was back 4 years ago in 2016. Now, what I find interesting about this as well, if we switch to this BLX chart, October of 2016 was right here, right? As Bitcoin was breaking its Fibonacci level, which we'll get out and we'll show you here. So we take from the high here to the low. And that exact period of October 2016 is right when Bitcoin was breaking above this Fibonacci level, breaking the 618, the golden pocket, right? So as that happened, that's exactly when it broke through that. And after it broke through that, that is when Bitcoin went on to break its all-time highs of about 1,100 or 1,200 and rally all the way to 20,000 US dollars. Now, what's extremely interesting here is we do the same thing here, guys. This is the 618, which would actually be about breaking about, let's see here, about 13,000 is breaking the 618 here. So now we're seeing this insanely reduced volatility right under that same key area, which again, we would be breaking that previous lower high, the last lower high before all-time highs. So for Bitcoin back in 2016, it was about $785. And then once we broke out of that fib level, that's when we rallied to 20K. And for us now, that same identical level in terms of Fibonacci is actually right around 13.5 or about 14K. So again, which is exactly where this key level that we keep talking about of right here breaking this last lower high is before entering a very, very, very bullish momentum upward. So that's extremely interesting that we get the lowest levels of volatility right before we break that last lower high, which again, for us is 14K, but back in the last bull market, it was around a little under $800 before going parabolic. So again, all of that still lines up with what we've been saying. If we break 14 and 13K, that's when we'll blow up right there. But specifically, I think it's about 13.8. So let's just say 14K, we'll round up to 14K. But that also lines up with this level of volatility. So that means two things. One, this market is looking extremely bullish based on the technicals and the fundamentals. But guys, the only concern I have, and the only concern more and more people have been having over the last few weeks, is the correlation that no doubt lives with the S&P. So last week, actually 2 weeks ago, we were talking about this 21-day moving average. And then specifically last Friday, we were talking about this 50-day moving average. And as we saw on Friday, guys, we did not hold the 50-day moving average. Okay, you see it come down here, go below 33.40 roughly, and now we're all the way down over $100 less than that, about 32.30. Now, this thing is continuing to fall, and honestly, guys, we do have a small area, and I can just draw it on here real quick, of why we're finding a little bit of support right here, right? These were some pretty important levels. This actually was a high before getting rejected in the middle of June and then going on to set all-time highs, but this is a pretty important level where we're finding support now. If we fail this, the next level of support will be roughly around 31.50, I think. But ultimately, this is a pretty, this honestly, guys, this looks pretty bearish. And this is something I've been saying, and many other people have been mentioning this for a while as well, just that this economy is on the downturn. As this was setting new all-time highs, I was saying this doesn't make any sense, right? Why are we doing this? Why did we just set an all-time high for the S&P? Why did we have a complete recovery after the March crash? It doesn't make sense as the economy is in shambles. And now is this, again, potentially a very strong signal that that is actually correct. The main thing we need to absolutely watch out for before a huge confirmation on these charts is the 200-day moving average, which is right around 3,100. Okay, so we're about $130 above that. It will be extremely interesting to see this week if that happens. But now, what does that mean for Bitcoin and what does that mean for altcoins? So for one, obviously everybody knows here that Bitcoin has not existed in a bear market. Bitcoin was created after the 2008 crash. So Bitcoin has basically only existed in a bullish stock market, in a bullish global economy, right? So to be fair, to be honest, literally nobody knows because this has never happened before. Nobody knows exactly how Bitcoin is going to react. Obviously, there are some indicators on these smaller time frames of what happened recently, especially this year with the crash in March. That was correlated. But what I think ultimately is going to happen is I think it will be correlated if stocks continue to drop. but I think there's going to be a decoupling if that continues to happen, and a strong resurgence in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency at a certain point. Whereas the stocks may keep going down, but a lot of money and confidence will flow in to Bitcoin, gold. But I think specifically this could be the turning point where Bitcoin becomes the most important asset. And guys, with that being said, you can actually see when I started this video, we were above this, but Ethereum is now actually breaking below a very key level, about 338 roughly. And this is a key level we've had charted on here. And 290 is a level of pullback that we've been talking about for a few weeks as well. And it looks as though if we break 340 concretely, we could actually be heading down to that level. We were talking about this bearish cross we had, if you guys remember from last week, 21 crossing below the 50-day. And as well, guys, Chainlink has actually broken our low downside target of $9, which we said we would most likely see a pullback to $9, but now we're actually below $9. So I think the next pullback target for Link could even be down in that $7 range. And again, these are just kind of big cryptos that I like to look at because the rest of the market basically will do the same thing, give or take a few altcoins. But for the most part, guys, as you can see, everything for the most part is in the red. Tether's up, 0.1%, completely irrelevant. USD coin is at 0.00, obviously. But if you look at this, I mean, look at this. This is literally 99% of everything is down in the red. Although, funny enough, Orchid is up 24%. Okay, I still have my Orchid positions, although it was up all the way, I believe, at like $1 about a month ago. But overall, the entire altcoin market is bleeding. And guys, this is a very interesting piece of news here. Bitcoin this week is braced for almost half of nearly 2 billion worth of Bitcoin options set to expire. This means most likely we'll see a fresh wave of volatility, which is very, very welcome. So guys, with that being said, regardless of which way Bitcoin's price moves, for traders, you can make money if there's a lot of volatility. And we're at a very key level now. It actually looks as though on this weekly chart for Bitcoin, we're coming back to test this 21-week moving average, which if we did, it would be right around that $10,000 area, which is just for reasons that I don't even need to state why it's so important that we hold the big, round, 5-digit number of 10,000, also where the 21-week moving average is. This is just so huge, a retest at about 10K. And again, that's why I think it's important that we don't actually come down to 97 or 98 to set a lower low, right? So basically, we want to hold 10K if we're going to see this pullback continue. And guys, what'll be very interesting to see is if we see the stock market continue to decline, it'll be incredibly interesting to see how Bitcoin holds up. But as you can see, Bitcoin is obviously not doing great at its current levels. Bitcoin's open interest, which is basically traders betting on what they expect Bitcoin to be, has climbed to about 2 billion, triple what it was just a few months ago, right? 47% of existing contracts are actually set to expire in just 4 days on this Friday, right? So the looming Bitcoin's options expiry could spark a fresh bout of price volatility. Previous large expiries have actually caused the market to bounce aggressively. So could that be a repeat of that, actually? Could we see a very strong bounce with this expiry of options contracts here? So guys, the main point of this is that we're about to have an exciting week. And what I mean by that is we're going to see a massive return to volatility. And that's why we talked about this here, the Bitcoin Volatility Index. We're about to see a massive return after hitting the lows in volatility just about 2 months ago. So a massive return to volatility is welcome. Obviously, as we've been stating, and everybody really has, Bitcoin has been quite boring for the past few months. Altcoins have been where all of the excitement are. But as we see here, altcoins are taking a beating, and because this is a macro move in the cryptocurrency market, Bitcoin needs to take the helm, basically, as it often does at these key decisive moments, because this is a massive, massive, massive moment for Bitcoin. This is a deciding factor, right? We have not seen Bitcoin perform in a bear market. And again, we're not in a bear market just yet, okay? But it's possible that that's what we could be seeing. And I think one of the key indicators for that is actually breaking below this level, which again, we still have some room above, but it'll be very interesting to see what's going to happen, guys. As well, leave a comment. What do you guys think? Do you think we are going to see continued downturn in the market? Or do you think we could actually see a bounce here, or maybe even slightly below, or even at the 200-day moving average? Do you think that that's likely? Or do you think we're going to see some very big downside for stocks specifically? Guys, another interesting thing to note actually on the S&P or the SPX, if we go to this weekly chart, we're still above the 21 weekly, which is currently about 3,200. So holding that actually could be a very strong indicator of strength in this market, but we really, really need to see if that's actually realistic. Huge, guys. The main exciting point of this video is that we're going to see a return to volatility, and it looks as though this week could end up being very red. So we have to basically wait and see. But based on that options expiry data we talked about, that is indicating, based on previous options expirations, that we could actually see a very, very aggressive bounce. So a very big bounce to the upside, which would be amazing to see that. It would be an absolute godsend. It would be the perfect scenario if we saw Bitcoin actually to start to decouple from the stock market. I don't think we're there just yet, but that is the decisive moment that will literally validate cryptocurrency and will explode us to new all-time highs if that would happen. If we see a decoupling from Bitcoin to the stock market, right? We all want to see that. We all want to see Bitcoin perform well as stocks don't perform well. That would be the ultimate confirmation for us that Bitcoin is about to enter the strongest bull market of all time. Huge, guys. So if you're interested in trying to trade these markets and you want to support the channel and you have experience trading, make sure to sign up with the links below. You get some extremely high deposit bonuses and 20% fee reduction for trading on Bybit if you use that link. And as well, we actually updated a few of the videos in T4 for trading, but we have to update a lot more of them, which will be coming in the next week. So as well, if you're interested in joining T4, make sure to use the code BILLIONS at checkout to get 10% off. We have a lot of TA update videos that we're in the process of updating as well. And yeah, guys, make sure to leave your comment below to enter for these ledgers and make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well.